Hello, people. This is B Flat. I want to talk about this picture I have that you see here. It's a painting I drew, oil paint. The topic of this discussion is flat Earth versus globe Earth. Okay, let me start off by reading some scriptures from the Bible. And the only reason I want to do that is because we are indoctrinated from childhood to believe that we live on a spinning globe. Oh, let me recant that statement. That we live on a spinning wet globe, held together by what is called gravity. Both of those ideas are a lie. A lie from the pits of hell. A lie that contradicts what the Bible says. A lie that contradicts your own common sense observation and experiments. That being said, Earth is not a spinning globe. Outer space is fake. You only see that on television. The only reason we believe that we live on a spinning ball is because of television and our indoctrination education. When we go to school as kids, there's a globe in every classroom. When we're born with five senses that we use to take in our world, the in and out through our five senses that our Creator gave us. These five senses make up your, or should rather, affect your common sense. That's why they call it common sense, because you use the common five senses. Now, we are told that we live on a spinning wet ball that spins 1,038 miles per hour. Like right now, as we speak, we are all supposed to be spinning 1,038 miles per hour. This is a lie. This is accepted as truth. None of you feel this rotation, this spinning. So there's a thing called centrifugal force. Think back to when you were a child at the playground and you see that contraption called a merry-go-round. Me and all my little buddies, you and all your little friends, we run around, grab a hold and run around that thing and get it go as fast as we can, and we hop on. And then we got to hold on because that wants to throw us off the outer edge of this spinning contraption. Hold on for dear life or you get thrown off. We didn't know what that force was that was forcing us toward the outer edge of this spin. But now I know that it's called centrifugal force. When you spin something, when things spin, it produces centrifugal force. Such as when you see a wet animal and they do that shaky thing and they rotate their heads back and forth and the water flings off, centrifugal force. If you get in a car and go around a curve or turn too fast, you get thrown off to the opposite side of the turn. Centrifugal force. Same as on the merry-go-round. So this ball earth that they say we live on is spinning, but the water doesn't release from it. If I wet a tennis ball and fling it through the air, as it spins, the water on the outside of it, that would be a convex shape. Water does not have Velcro property. It does not stick to the outside of moving objects, especially if they're spinning. Now, if the water is on the inside of a concave object, such as filling a bucket and whirling it around your head, the water would stay inside because of the inner barrier. But here we are talking a ball earth, water sticking to the outside. Doesn't happen. Water does what it does. It seeks ground zero, its lowest level, fills the concave shape or container, and settles flat on top. Just as we see here, where the water is flat all the way across. It's called the x-axis, the horizon. Okay? Now, this x-axis is what we call level. You see this bottom picture where I have the level sitting there? That bubble is in the middle of these two lines, showing that this level, this contraption is sitting level. Just to indicate that this water here, inside this structure, is level. Inside this white ring is our ocean's waters. Inside here is our ocean's waters, and these are our continents sitting in this water. You have your moon, and you have your sun that rotate over our heads on these yellow, red, and orange circuits. The yellow one would be the summer solstice. The orange one would be the winter solstice, and then the middle one is the equator. That outer ring around the globe that they say is the equator, it's really this. Halfway between the center of our world, which is the North Arctic point, Arctic North Center. We call it the North Pole. So halfway between there and this outer boundary is the equator. Okay? Now, Christopher Columbus sailed around the world and discovered that it was round. Not a globe, but round. Globe is round, and so is this circle. Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah, it said it is he that sits above the circle of the earth. Circle, not ball. This is a ball right here. This is a circle. Okay? Now, if God sits above the circle of the earth, which would be here, that this bow I placed above this circle represents what is called the firmament. Let me read something for you from the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. The deep. Is that water? And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. I guess it is water, according to the word. So, in the beginning, we had God, our Creator, that we call God, and water. Then, in verse 3, it goes on to say, God said. This is where he starts to create and speak. Let there be light, and there was. This light is not light like you see with your eyes. It's not light that comes from the sun. It's not light that is shining from the moon. It's not light from a flashlight or light from a bulb. It's the power of his voice. That light. If you understand this, that light is not the same as sunlight, you understand what I'm saying. Okay. I want to go down to verse, the creation of the second day. So we have 7 days of creation, according to this Bible. When I first started going to church, or any of us, I'm going to speak for myself, me and my cousins, all my cousins. My grandma raised us up in church, and she took us to church because she wanted us to know about our Creator God. So I'm in Sunday school as a kid, and they introduce us to the idea of our God, but they start us off with the story of Adam and Eve. We came from 2 human beings called Adam and Eve. Well, Adam and Eve weren't created until the 6th day of creation. So, day day two. What I want to talk about is, I'm all over the place. Sorry, I have multiple sclerosis and my thought processes get scrambled sometime. I digress on that though. They start us off with the teaching of the sixth day of creation, man. So let's talk about the first 4 days of creation, where he laid the foundations of our world, where he placed us, where the Garden of Eden is located, where all our land masses are located, where our realm, Earth realm, is located. The foundation that was laid before he created man. So on day one we have light. Day two, the firmament. This middle picture here I have here. I placed this bowl over the circle of the earth to indicate the firmament. Okay, and it says in verse 6. Oh, let me back up. First of all, the globe. Supposedly we are surrounded by an atmosphere of air, gases, or whatever you want to call it, that you can literally wave your hand in through. Waving your hand in front of your face, you're waving your hand through this atmosphere that we are in. Okay? On the globe, this ball Earth is sitting in this ever-expanding, infinite vacuum of outer space. I have a vacuum cleaner right across the room here in my crib. Vacuum cleaners are only designed to suck things up. That's what they do. Vacuum cleaners suck, vacuum, suck. Oh, the lack of air. You have vacuum. So why doesn't the atmosphere around our globe Earth get pulled or sucked away from this vacuum? Because we don't live on a ball, we live under a dome called the firmament, a covering, an expanse is laid out over us as a curtain. It covers things. Okay, the dome. It says in verse 6, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Midst means middle. And let it divide the waters from the waters. Now imagine, this is water inside here. And if I place this, let me back up. If you fill your tub up with water or any concave structure, sink, go in your kitchen, get you a bowl, such as I have here, and turn it upside down, just as you see it there, in this middle picture, and push it down in your water. At the mouth of that bowl, the very bottom of it, you will have water. You will have air inside the bowl and water on the upper outside of this bowl. So when it says, just like tipping a canoe over in water, and you push your head up through the top of it under the bottom for air, an air pocket would be up under this bowl if I pushed it down in water. Compressed air. We have pressurized atmosphere in our world. Literally, pressurized atmosphere. Well, let me tell you something. You can't have pressurized air, gas, or fluids or anything without a container. The ball Earth has no container around it. So, the Bible says God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament. You can call those your oceans or your seas. And from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. Let me say that again. God called the firmament heaven. And the evening and the morning were the second day. So God created the firmament on the second day. So now we've covered day 1, day 2, day 3. God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God called the dry land earth. And the gathering together of the waters called he seas, Seas, referring to the water. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass and herbs and yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed is in of itself upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass and herb and yielding and seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. So we have day 1, light. Day 2, the firmament. Day 3, the land, vegetation, things like that. Okay, now day 4 is the verse, the section that I have problems with conveying to. I don't have problems with it. People are failing to understand this. If you can count from 1 to 4, you should understand this, what I'm about to say. What the Bible says. In the solar system model, you have the Earth. Well, let me back up. The Big Bang, the sun comes about, the Earth comes about. So sun first, Earth afterwards. And then the Earth starts to rotate around this sun. I want to talk chronology here, order of occurrence. Genesis chapter 1, verse 20 through 23 explains what he did on the 4th day. And God said, let the water... let me back up. Okay. Let me correct myself. Verses 14 through 19 speak of the 4th day. And it goes on to say, 4th day is talking about the heavenly bodies that are above our heads. The sun, the moon, and the stars. The Bible does not have the word planet in it. It does not speak of planets. It does not speak of black holes, nebulas, light years, space dust, all the satanic crap that NASA tells us is above our heads and outside of this ball Earth, around this, surrounding this ball Earth, in the vacuum of outer space. Okay, now the Bible tells me, and observation tells me, it says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament. Here we have the word lights again. This time, this light is not the power of his voice. God said, let there be lights in. Let me repeat that word. In, not outside the firmament of the heavens, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. That's what they're for. For signs, for seasons, for days, and years. Kind of like a clock or a calendar kind of thing. A timepiece, a way of tracking time. Okay, that was verse 14. Verse 15 says, and let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven. Firmament that was created on the 2nd day, our dome, to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights. The greater light to rule the day, that's the one we call the sun. And the lesser light to rule the night. We call that the moon. And he made the stars also. Doesn't say he made planets. Doesn't say he made outer space. Doesn't say he made black holes or collapsing, stars and I said black holes, nebulas and space dust and all the crap they say is out in outer space. He didn't say none of that. He says the sun, the moon, and the stars he made also. And where did he put them? Did he place them in the ever-expanding vacuum of outer space like NASA tells us? No. It says in verse 17, and God set them. Set as in place them God set them in, once again, in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the dark. And God saw that it was good, and the evening and the morning were the fourth day. So my question is, if the sun wasn't created until the fourth day, what, follow my arrow in the above picture, if the sun wasn't created until the fourth day, in your solar system model of outer space, what was this earth rotating around for the first 3 days if the sun wasn't created until the fourth day? See, everything about this outer space crap goes against the Bible. What was the earth rotating around for the first 3 days of creation if the sun wasn't created until the fourth day? I've asked pastors this. They all seem to think it's ridiculous me even posing the question. I literally attended my mom's church one day. I don't normally go to church because of this, what I'm about to say, or for many other reasons, but I went there, I sat through the service, I interrupted no one, I waited for the pastor to say her goodbyes to all the good little sheep who were in the church, and I approached her with this dilemma here, this question. I say to her, Pastor, can I talk to you about the creation of the creation story in Genesis? She said, sure. You know there's 2 creations. I'm like, huh? She said, yeah, we'll talk about it. Come by on tomorrow at such time. So I come. I write down my little bullet points and my notes and my scriptures and my illustrations that I've drawn and everything. I bring my Bible. And she comes in the room and we start this conversation. She looked at me like I was a fool. I say to her, our Bible says this. She told me it was my opinion. I said, no, it's not my opinion. It's right here in this Bible. The one you are preaching from. The one that you preach to your congregation from. The King James Bible. Why do you say that it's my opinion? It's not my words. It's right there in the Bible. Sun created on the fourth day. What was earth rotating around for the first 3 days? Not to mention, our Bible tells us that the earth does not move. Earth is stationary. Below your feet does not move. The heavens above your head that are under this dome, the sun, the moon, and stars, all rotate over our heads, just as we see it in real life. Okay, now let me pose this question too. When television shows us our sun, or education systems show us our sun, it's always this big red, orange, yellowy, fiery ball with a black background indicating it's in outer space. And as well with the moon. They show us this moon sitting in outer space with a black background. The size difference of these two things, if this moon is way smaller than the earth, and the earth is way smaller than the sun, it stands to reason this sun is way huger than this moon. But when you go outside in real life and look at these two objects, they appear to be the same size as in this above picture where I'm pointing my arrow. Observe, use your own eyes and your own observation, not the television, and see for yourself. Okay? It's all, this outer space crap is all a lie. We've seen images of this up here at the top. This is supposed to be a galaxy in outer space, our galaxy that we live in. We've seen images where NASA is showing us pictures like light years away from this thing, looking back at it. My question is, who did they send out there to take the picture? Did they hire Superman and he flew out there with his camera and took this picture and brought it back to us? Yeah, think about that. Think about that. So in 1969, they say, hold up, 1969, I was 4 years old, and they said they went to the moon. They landed on the moon. Well, in 1969 we had what? Very primitive technology. Your cell phone has more memory and capabilities in it than what they had with their mainframes back then. So in 1969 we had rotary telephones, hard wire telephones, communications. No wireless, but yet the president in 1969 on television showed the world that he was on a rotary phone talking to the astronaut that had just set foot on the moon. Did you run a hard wire up to the moon from your rotary telephone, Mr. President? Yeah, bullshit. You didn't do it. You didn't land on the moon. It's all a lie. Shown to our parent. I'm 52 now, so my parents back in them days, like I said, I was only 4 years old. Television was very primitive. They showed this fakery that they faked in a Hollywood studio, broadcasted it on television as truth. And our parents and older people sucked it up. Sucked it up. Yay, we landed on the moon. Well, why haven't they been back since? Oh, wait a minute, they attempted or said they've been there like maybe 3 or 4 other times after that, but from 69 to 72, they supposedly went to the moon a couple times. Why haven't we been back since 72? Here we are in 2017, about to hit 18. Our technology is way advanced. We should have a McDonald's on the moon. Some rich, greedy fool would have placed a McDonald's up there or something. A hotel or something for visitors. Some rich fool would have charged people to shuttle them back and forth. Someone would have tried to monetize this finding. The fact that we landed on the moon is bull. There's a star called the North Star. It's the first star in the handle of the Little Dipper. This star does not move in our skies. It sits directly above the center pole, North Arctic of our world, the center of our world. Where I have this gleaming light at the top of this dome, this bowl, the firmament, would be the North Star. It sits directly above the North Pole. And it does not move. But everything that's up under the dome rotates perfectly around the North Star in perfect circles above our heads. And if you don't believe that, think about this. We have constellations in our skies. We identify with them because they constantly rotate over our heads. They go and they come around these circuits, rotating over our heads. That's why we can identify them. The zodiac signs, different things like Sagittarius, Leo, the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper. They all keep the same positions relative to themselves in them constellations. Now I propose, if we live in this above picture, if we live on a spinning ball in outer space and our galaxy is moving through space, we should never see the same constellations day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, century after century. We see the same stars.